Very good afternoon, all of you. In previous class, we discussed mean, mode, and median. In this particular lecture, we will see measurement of variability and dispersion. In that, we will see range, variance, standard deviation, standard error, and coefficient of variation. So the very important thing about the central tendency that we discuss in terms of mode, median, or mean. So what they will provide only a single value. So every time we cannot rely on these single values, or sometimes the data is such that these measures, mean, mode, or median, cannot provide you a trustworthy value, or you somehow in a confused state that no, we cannot rely on mean, mode, or median. So in such cases, we need to find out some other measures, and especially when the data is spread. So in that case, there is a significant variability, or we can say dispersion. So that we need to take into account. For example, we will take one example to understand why we cannot rely on mean, mode, or median every time. So which of the following statement is better to describe the life of a human being? So first statement is the average life of human being is say 80 years. And second statement, the life of human being is between 70 and 80 years. So when we look at these two statements very carefully, then somehow in our mind we think that the second statement is somewhat much better as compared to statement number one, because this 80 years is a single value and the 70 to 80 is a range, and that covers most of the data points, because average considers only single value, but this covers a range. So we may say that for a given two statements, the second statement is a bit more explainable or provide more insight as compared to statement number one. So that's why along with that, along with the central tendency, that is mean, mode, and median, we need to go for some other measures. Now again, we will take one more example that will tell you in more detail why should not we rely more on mean, mode, or median and every time. So following table gives three data sets. So you can see the data sets. The mean of all the data set is 50. And the question is for which data series mean is a good central tendency. So you can see in series 1, 5 data points are there and all are having value equal to 50. So average is 50. Again for data set B, the mean is 50, and for data C also the mean is 50. Now when we look at these data series very carefully, we can easily guess that for data series A, mean is a very good measure of central tendency. But when we look at data series B and data series C, we will not get confidence like series A. And we may say that along with the mean, we need to think about the variance or the dispersion of the data. And again, if we compare data set B and C, in data series C, there is a huge variation. So in simple words, we can say that always we cannot rely on the central tendency. It is good if a data series like A, and to certain extent we can rely on B. But if we come across a data series like C, then definitely we need to find out another measures of dispersion. Now the measures of dispersion, there are so many measures, and in first slide we discussed the same. So we will start with range. So before we directly enter into range, we will see what do you mean by dispersion or variance. So range, variance, standard deviation, these are the measures of dispersion, or they are also called as measures of absolute dispersion. And we can say the dispersion means the spread of the data along the or about the mean value. Sometimes we may observe that if this is the mean value, the data may be like this. This is the spread of the data. Sometime we may see that this is the mean and this is the spread of the data. So in this particular case, all the data points are very close to the mean value. But in case of second case, the data is spread and it is distributed and the range is very wide, we can say. So what type of distribution you will see, that depends on the data, and you cannot never predict what type of distribution it will be. So whenever you get a data, try to plot and then check how the data is dispersed around the central point, that is mean, median, or mode. Now range, it is the difference between the maximum and minimum value in the data points, and it is understandable. And for example, consider a data set. So there are so many values in that data set. We identified 10 as a minimum value and 120 as a maximum value, and range means simply the difference between the minimum and maximum value. So maximum value minus minimum value, it will be the range, and here the answer is 110. It's not 140, so that mistake I did here. So the correct answer is 110. We will go to second measures of dispersion called as variance. And from statistics point of view, henceforth the variance, standardization, these play very important role. So variance is defined as the arithmetic mean of squared deviation of a given data set of observations from the arithmetic mean. So when we look at the definition, it seems that it is a bit difficult, but we will take one example and case by case. So the first case is when you have individual observations with you, how will you compute the variance? So if x1, x2, x3, xn are the observations or the data points, so total data points are n for a variable x with mean mu. Last time we discussed how to calculate mean. Just take the addition of all the observations divided by total number of observations. And the variance is denoted by sigma square. So it is calculated for individual observations by using this formula. So sigma square is equal to 1 upon n summation I is equal to 1 to n xi minus mu whole bracket square. Sometime instead of n, it is taken as n minus 1. So if you go through different books, in some of the books you will see this formula, in many books you will see this formula. So you may ask on which formula we should rely on. So whenever you are dealing with the data points, then in my opinion we should rely more on this particular formula. But of course you can also use this particular formula, there is no problem. And when you get the solution, you will see hardly any deviation by using this formula and by using this formula. So you can rely on any of the formula, but in my opinion we should rely on the second formula more. And in this particular formula, you can see n is the total number of observations, that is understandable. Xi means individual observation, x1, x2, x3 up to xn. and mu is the mean. So every time what we do, we take the difference between the observation and the mean and take it square, and such all values will be summed up, and whatever answer you will be getting, it will be divided by the total number of observations, and that is called as variance. So this is how we calculate the variance value. Let's take one example. Find the variance of the following data set. So total 5 data points are given to you. So n is equal to 5. So we got the value of n here. Then we need to find out mu as well as all the x's. This will be x1, x2, x3, x4 and x4. That can be understandable. Now we have to calculate mean, and mean is nothing but sum of all the observations divided by total number of observations. So 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus 7 plus 10 divided by 5, you will get 6 as a mean value. Then we calculate variance. So variance, this formula is already there. So here I took this particular formula. You can also take second formula as well. So understand how we use this formula. So x1 minus mean square plus x2 minus mean value its square, x3 minus mu, that is mean, its square, x4 minus mean its square, x5 minus mean its square. So this is how we expand this particular term in this way and divided by n minus 1. So instead of n, you can say here n minus 1. So I wrote this formula, but actually I executed this formula. But you are free to make your own decision. Okay, so that is fine. And the answer is 7.5. So this is called as a variance value. So this particular variance, what it will do, it will tell you about mean, how much data is spread. So if this is the mean, then the variance will tell you how far the data is spread from the mean value or mean with reference to the central point or the mean. We will take second case. Previously we saw the individual observations. Sometimes the data is available in discrete frequency distribution. So if x1 observes for f1 times, x2 observe for f2 times, x3 observe for f3 times, and so on. So final value for xn observe for fn times. Then the variance sigma square is given by this particular formula. So here you can see sigma square is equal to 1 upon n. Here you can see a capital N, means sum of all the observations. You can see here n means sum of all the frequencies, not observations, frequencies. And this small n is corresponding to how many frequencies are there. So this is first frequency, this is second frequency, this is third frequency, and this is nth frequency. So this is n. And inside summation, fi into bracket xi minus mu bracket square. And here in this case, mean value can be calculated by using this formula, summation fi xi upon summation fi. Okay, so when the data is of discrete frequency type, then we use this particular formula. Sometime the data given to you will be in grouped frequency. So again, x1 occurs for f1 times, x2 for f2 times, x3 for f3 times, and so on. But the difference between these two is that here x1 is individual, and here x1 is in a range. So here individual value will be there, here a range will be given to you. And from calculation point of view, the formula is same. So you can see there is hardly any difference between these two formulae. But here, when we take the value of xi here, so instead of individual value, what you need to do, you need to find out the middle point of the class. So suppose x has a range between 10 to 20, let's say. Then when you put the value of x here, then it will be a 15. That is the middle point of the class. So this is how we use these formulas to calculate the variance. So individual observation we saw. When discrete data points, we use this formula. When grouped data will be there, we will use this particular formula. Then we will move ahead and we will see what is, it's not a standard variation, it's standard deviation. Sorry, it's my mistake. Standard deviation. So standard deviation is denoted by sigma, and the positive square root of variance is defined as standard deviation. So you already studied how to calculate variance. So just take its square root, it will become standard deviation. So we know that for variance the notation was sigma square, and the notation for standard deviation is only sigma. So simply you can understand it is a square root. Just a minute. Am I audible to you? Can anybody confirm? Yes, anybody? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I thought I lost the connection. Okay, so we will start again. Okay, so we already derived the formula for standard deviation. Now we will just convert that formula into, we developed the formula for variation, and now we will simply convert that formula to standard deviation. So standard deviation for individual observation, we know this formula for variance, and when we take its square root, it will become standard deviation. Similarly, for discrete frequency distribution, we just take the square root of that formula, you will get the same. Next term is one more thing for grouped data. When data given in range, again we use the same formula. So that's why I didn't put separately that continuous data or the grouped data. Now next term is standard error. So this term is very important, I personally believe. And with example, I will tell you why this play an important role. So first of all, we will see the definition of standard error. The sample mean may change from sample to sample, and the extent of variation of these sample means is measured by a quantity called standard error. So what happens, suppose a population is there, and consider the population of whole world, and we call it as a population. So first sample is drawn, let's say the people of USA, and we are interested in their average height. So we pick randomly 1,000 or 2,000 people, we measure their height and we take their average, and we get some sample mean for USA people. Then in second sample, what we may do, we may pick 2,000 Indian people and measure their height, and we calculate the second average. Now the average height of USA people will be different and average height of Indian people will be different. So there is a deviation, right? We are saying population is same, but we selected the sample in such a way that there is a huge difference in the mean values. The average height of Indian people and average height of USA people is different. And that particular error is measured with the help of this standard error. One more example we will take here. Consider sample A is taken from a population and these are the 5 values. Sample B is again taken from the same population and these are the 5 values. Sample C is again taken from the same population. But when you calculate the mean for first sample, second sample and third sample, do you think you will get same value? No. Even though all the samples are taken from same population, the mean will take different values. And that's why a role of standard error come into the picture. And we need to understand what is the standard error for sample A, sample B and sample C. And then we can decide or we can check whether we took the sample appropriately or not. Now how to calculate? Sorry. This is standard error. This is standard error. Okay, for individual observation. And when population is infinite or large, the standard error can be calculated by using this formula. SE stands for standard error and which is equal to standard deviation divided by square root of sample. When population is finite or small, then in that case, standard error is calculated by standard deviation of the sample size, population size minus sample size and population size minus 1, because here the population is countable and also the sample also countable. So this is the formula to calculate standard error for infinite as well as finite population. And when you calculate these values for these 3 samples, then whatever values you will get for SC for sample A, B and C, it will tell you that whether you have drawn the sample ABC from the same population or not. Because again question come, whatever population will be there, we may not sure that samples are from same population or not. That answer can be obtained with the comparison of standard error values. Or in other words, if the standard error is nearly same for all the samples, sample A, sample B and sample C, then we can say that all these samples are taken from the same population. This is also another conclusion we can draw. Because in actual practice, we are not sure that whether a sample is taken from the population. That question is always there. We will go ahead and we will start with measures of dispersion, and next measure is coefficient of variation. So the coefficient of variation is defined as the percentage ratio of standard deviation to the arithmetic mean of the distribution. So first of all, you need to calculate arithmetic mean for the given sample. Then we need to calculate the standard deviation and take the ratio of standard deviation to arithmetic mean. That is nothing but coefficient of variation. And why we should go for coefficient of variation? Because we already calculated standard error. The answer is very simple. Again, every time we cannot rely on standard error. And in that case, coefficient of variation will tell you that in a better way. And the formula is for coefficient of variation is standard deviation divided by arithmetic mean. And why this is in mod? Because we sometime mean may be negative, right? Because all the observations have negative sign, then arithmetic mean may be negative. So we take its mod. So we will take only the positive value, and it is multiplied by 100, so that you will get coefficient of variation in percentage. The coefficient of variation used for comparison of variability of two or more data set, just like the previous slide. Here, for each sample, if we calculate the coefficient of variation, then we can check how much variation in the data and whether the samples are taken from a same population or not, or all the samples are belong to the same population or not. So many questions, and this particular measure will give you the answer. The set having more coefficient of variation is said to have more variability and in turn less consistency. So that will tell you that whether you can rely on the standard deviation or variance or not. If the coefficient of variation is very small, you can say we can rely on the measures such as standard deviation or variance. If that coefficient of variation is very wide, then we cannot surely rely on those values. We will take some example now. If n is equal to 20, that is sample is 20, and instead of data points here, summation of x is given and summation of x square is given, and you are asked to calculate standard deviation and coefficient of variation. So you can calculate a mean, because the formula is summation x upon n, and instead of data points, summation x is given and n is also given to you. So put those values and the mean is 2.25. Now this is the formula that we generally use for standard deviation, but along with this formula there is another formula. This also is used for calculating the standard deviation. Basically, this is the simplified version of this formula, but I didn't took that derivation directly. You can rely on that formula. It is authentic. So sigma x square, summation x square is given to you, n is given to you, and mean we just calculated. So put these values and you will get the value of standard deviation. And then coefficient of variation can be calculated as the ratio of sigma upon mu, that is standard deviation divided by arithmetic mean. And here standard deviation is 0.9151, mean is 2.25, multiplied by 100, the answer is 40.6733. And in upcoming slides or upcoming lectures, I would say you will come to know if this percentage is very close to 0, what does it mean? If this percentage is close to 50%, what does it mean? If this percentage is close to 100%, what does it mean? That we will come to know afterwards. And these things are very important, especially from practical application point of view. We will take one more example. Following data sets gives number of finished articles per day by different number of workers in a factory. So these three workers provided 18 finished articles. These 7 workers provided 19 finished articles, and so on. And you have to find out mean, standard deviation, and coefficient of variation of daily output. And why we are interested in daily basis? Because see, as a human being, our mood changes time by time, day by day. For example, today if your mood is very good, you are very creative, you can manufacture good quality product with good number of quantity. If something happen in your home and if you are nervous, then on that day your productivity goes down, right? And that's why such type of analysis is required a daily basis. So data is with us, and we know that by using this formula we can calculate mean. So summation fx upon summation f. So f is with us. When we take summation of all these values, you will get summation f. Similarly, we know that this particular formula is for calculating standard deviation, where n is total number of observations, mu is summation mean, and we also need summation fx square. So what we did, we took the product of f and x, that is 18 into 3, answer is 54. 19 into 7, 133. 20 into 11, 220, and so on. So this is how we can prepare this particular column. Additionally, we will prepare a column for f multiplied by x square. So 3 into 18 square, 972. 7 into 19 square, 2527, and so on. This is how we calculate the values. Now table is ready with us. Just find out the values. So summation f is the summation 1, 2, 3. These are the values. Their summation. Summation fx, sum of all these values will give us the summation. Summation fx square, you just add these values, you will get summation fx square, and n is nothing but summation of f, that is sum of all these values. And mu square, mu means mean, we calculated here mean value and its square. So this is how you can calculate mean and standard deviation. So here n is 100, sum of all data points. Summation fx is 2238. Summation fx square is 50562. We calculated these values. So we have these values. Now put summation fx, summation f in this formula, and the mean for this particular problem is 22.38. This is the first answer you receive. Then for standard deviation, formula is with us. Put summation fx square 50,562, n is 100, mu square is 22.38 square. Simplify, and upon simplification you will get standard deviation as 2.1807. Then the last question is coefficient of variation. So what we will do, we will use this particular formula to calculate coefficient of variation. We already calculated the value of standard deviation, which is 2.1807. We already calculated the value of mean. We will take its positive value, and it is 22.38, and it is multiplied by 100, and the answer is 9.744%. So this is for today's session. In this particular session, we discuss measures of variability and dispersion, and we discuss range, variance, standard deviation, standard error, and coefficient of variation. So that's it from my side for today's session. and if you have any question, we can discuss the same. So if you have any question, unmute yourself and